Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, let's let it rip.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know how that goes for you.
Oh, absolutely. I will.
But I don't
Welcome,
think you can
welcome.
do both at the same time, you know what I mean? Like you can't do YouTube and Facebook at the same time.
No,
Not
I
that I'm
don't
aware
think.
of.
No, I don't think so. Because it's from the get-go, it's asking you for to make a choice, and
Right.
you have Facebook and the
Right.
other options.
Exactly.
Uh, yes, for those joining into the conversation, what we were discussing is the new Zoom options. I just noticed one that was saying broadcast live, and you know that we're strong advocates of any visual content, any live performance as network marketers. It's the best way how to market yourself. A play on word here, bring in our how-to sessions. So thank you for joining us again. It's always a pleasure when we gather together to discuss matters of how to market ourselves properly, how to approach this new era of tools, and also keep in mind these fundamentals that are always the basis, the foundation of what we need to grow a strong brand, a strong business, to venture in a sure way in what we are trying to accomplish. So, welcome again. As usual, for an opening, if you have any questions, uh, specific to what you're doing or in a broad sense of marketing obstacles or bump road that you are facing that you would want to bring up, we can start with that round of question. Otherwise, we'll carry on a conversation flow stemming from where we left off last time together around email and conversation. Actually, today I'm gonna bounce a little bit off of some information that we got yesterday from Robert during the last transition. For those who are there, you know what I'm talking about, or you'll be revisiting that conversation. So, for those who weren't there, I definitely recommend you take the time to join us on Monday. There's always a lot of good information that is received there. I see we also have a newcomer in the room, Omar. Thank you for joining us. Um, Hope you get a lot of information and value from this. Um, so, for those who are using Now Site, do you have any general or specific questions about what you're facing as an obstacle or challenge before we dive into our conversation? As usual, if you want to ask your question, remember it's a safe space. You can raise your hand or bring you forward. You ask the question so the whole room can share in the knowledge chain. Otherwise, you can type your question in the chat. We have Robert, my wingman, with us, the best of them all. That is very quick to answer. And if it needs be, it will bring it up for all of us to share on it. Good for everybody? Questions? Perfect. We'll dive in. Anyways, as usual, you know that you can always time in during the course of our conversation with specific points or specific questions pertaining to how this aligns with what you've been practicing, told, what you know. Remember, this is a safe space for sharing. Uh, Knowledge or perfection of knowledge is not a state, is a becoming. So we constantly have to update ourselves or keep an open ear to new information. And this is what we gather here for. So today I had in mind to really go over the use of our first tool. I keep saying it in every conversation or every chance I get. This is the beginning of everything in Now Sight, and it's also the end point of everything you're doing when you've gone the full circle of setting up your business properly. From your brand conversation to your marketing asset to your business operation setup, mirroring your client journey or expected prospect journey and trying to close the full cycle between the acquisition, the conversion, and the retention, especially due to the fact that the retention is how you grow your business. There's always a specific or special interest that I recommend you pay to that part of your process. This is where also you get to honor your offer that led to the conversion. Often enough, it's that process. So keep that in mind. When you are in the now side space, you have the advantage of being able to use your business profile tool. And I keep saying it, there's a lot of power into this conversation. From this point, before we continue here, I want to take you to the document that I prepared for today. It's really just a recap of what we've been covering, values that we've been putting together. And it's also a reflection of what we've covered with Robert yesterday. The way to increase your connection message, the impact, the right way, aligns itself with what we've covered yesterday. That five look, that five try, those five book, the goal, right? At the end of every process, you want to implement so that you can review and optimize. And this is always essential to make sure that what you have is ready for duplication, the right speed through the process, the right end goal being achieved with the client, having them go from the point of interest to the point of conversion to the ongoing relationship that grows and allows you to scale your business, right? And yesterday, through that process of goal setting, there was a very interesting part of the conversation. Hence, Robert, I was taking notes. This is what I've captured. This is the raw note that I captured. And I got the essence. This is what I got. This is the essence of what I took from that conversation. And as you do when you receive knowledge, for you to better absorb it, you want to see how it relates to what you know, how you can apply it directly, how you can make it part of your work cycle. Because if it doesn't fit in your work cycle, your understanding, then you have a tendency of not relying on it or not embedding it in your process. And often enough, this is what I found is an issue here. We get a lot of good information, and even if we pace it, even if we deliver it point per point, if you don't implement it, if you don't practice it, it just builds up and becomes too much knowledge for you to apply at one time. And this is when you stay absorbing information, but not necessarily practicing it, not necessarily taking advantage of the value that you're receiving from it, right? So keep that in mind. Coming back to this smart thinking or smart process, simplify your approach, right? If it's too complicated, simplify the approach. Start with the basic. That will allow you to go into the momentum of things. And this is also why I'm starting from the first point in now side today, or that idea of gaining momentum with the right conversation, right? One of the things that came with the golden nuggets that Robert gave us yesterday was a simple format: look, try, book. Look, from what I took from the conversation, is that gut check, right? This is where you deliver value. This is the hook that brings the person in if they're looking, right? They were interested, they were attracted. And these are all important terms that fit into our conversation: attraction marketing or interest. And the interest, as we covered in our previous documents, in our previous conversation, is at the center of everything. Simply put, are you interested in what I'm offering? If you're not, that stops there. If you are, then the conversation starts. This is when I am trying to get you to understand the intentions, right? This is where I'm using our common passion, mirroring our common interest to position my opportunity, or I'm choosing to start pushing on those pain points. for you to make a decision, an advised decision. And coming back to the value try, you can see that these words are there at the center of what we're doing. Book a meeting. In this day and age, before we even start talking about website, even before we even talk about um, marketing assets or POS conversation, point of sales, and such, the first thing that we always have is the time that we want to offer to the audience for them to be brought in to our interest, brought into this venture, right? So time is a value that we always have. So a booking offer is the simplest of offers that you can make. Whether you choose to do this on a live format using Messenger or WhatsApp, or when you start organizing yourself a little bit more, you can take advantage of all these free booking platform and have that booking link, right? So if anything, when you start something and you have this interest of wanting to close conversation, then you have time. And time is the biggest value that we have to offer. It's what we use ourselves to achieve our goal, but it's also what we offer most of the time in the relationship building process that converts interest into acquisition and acquisition into conversion, and that maintains that relationship going in the retention process. Very important. Now, often enough, well, not often, always, when we are in this space, there are some values that I keep hammering, right? This is the first point after you have calibrated your AI for that personal interaction with it throughout the tool, when you've trained it properly, for also the perfect calibration presets that you will need to calibrate the tone of the conversation to come. This is where you have to be strong, or this is the first step that you will be taking here to start across now site to take advantage of the tool. And as it is, we are asking you a very simple thing: the brand name and the UVP, or describe your business or product. But make no mistake, this is your UVP, right? And often enough in this space, you heard me quote these values: what, who, how, interest, intention, call to actions, right? Even if you don't have a clear method of conversion, even if you don't have a clear booking cycle, that clear conversation here allows you to take full advantage of these tools to create more presence for yourself, to create more engagements, to lead to a better process building experience, or to test if you're going to the right direction before you dive into more asset building exercises. So it works for all, for new or for elite users. If overnight there's an idea or a concept that I want to roll out, before I dive into a strong marketing building exercise, I can test these conversation right there. I can create volume for my social media. And this is important. And how does everything that we have learned yesterday aligns with what we have been covering and what we should be always keeping in mind, right? Is this. The look is the what. What exactly are you offering? And there's an this document is always already available in the team section. This one is not yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it there. It's just a case study out of recent exchange with clients and also general past experience. Most UVPs in this space look like this, right? And this is something that is a very common um, 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 pitfall in the positioning of your offer when you are in a very multifaceted offer. Things like legal shields or things that offer an array of saving programs, right? This is often something that you're confronted with, right? Uh, you will see that a lot of things are lumped into one conversation. But if you take the time to really go over this statement with the right process, what exactly am I offering? Who exactly am I offering it to? And how is this being made available? Right? Before you even give it to the AI to rewrite it, to evaluate it, to make it stronger, you yourself have to break this conversation down or be able to break this conversation down to pitch it, right? And understanding that allows you to start breaking things to get down to the right conversation audience. Because this is also the very most important thing to understand about the right way of making an impact when you're looking to connect or anything else. Today, I'm really talking about the connection message because it's the simplest thing that we can do and offer generally. Let's connect and talk. We'll decide how we can connect depending on your availability. So, not even with a booking link, you can start that conversation, right? So, the connection message is the easiest thing. But to connect the right way, you already need to understand who is your audience. And this was the big issue here. The common error here is this: I show people I can sell to everybody, and it's impossible to connect to every people the same way or to sell to everybody the same way, right? So just understanding that allows you to frame your message target properly. I quickly broke this down as I usually do, and that you will understand if you adhere to these mechanics will become a reflex, right? This is something that comes out every time I have a first conversation discovery meeting with a client that I'm assessing to see if we can work together or giving an honest response to the offer. You will see that in my uh, IMI core tribe approach, the assessment, the time is offered because this is where I start building that relationship. Right? Remember that when you are doing running your venture, the choice goes both ways. You can choose to help or choose not to if you cannot meet the client expectation. This is also you assessing the true weight of your value of the value that you offer. Right? With this amount of service, the point out of this assessment was to make sure that we understood who exactly we were speaking to. And also, what did we are we looking to choose as an entry point, right? And often enough, it's simple enough to grasp when you look at the basic description of your product. If this is to help you save and earn, if this is to manage your uh, household wealth or wellness, then this is for a family audience. And that is a clue that was missing there in this conversation, in this UVP. Whose value is it? Who, if, for whose this service, this what, has more value? And why, right? And this is the important thing that you need to understand, or the important thing that you need to bring to the table when you're first starting in this space, right? Here, I rewrote this conversation. And as you understand, when you're in the now side space with this, you are literally loaded and ready to rock and roll. Because the rest of the conversation, the rest of the work will be done by the AI and you can evaluate this, right? Now, this is a very open brand there, a household wellness agent. It's just for the exercise, but the power that I'm looking to take advantage of is here, right? And this is a 1, 2, 3 step that you should take uh, for things that you want to bring into the space, for offers, for services that you want to promote, even if they're a lateral product to something that is already in place. This approach still holds because whenever you create a product, you must have had a specific audience in mind. Do not lose sight of the audience and replace this by the overarching goal, which is to sell to the biggest and greatest audience every time, right? We have to divide and conquer, hence that conversation around segmentation and the past discussion around the proper prospect journey, right? Keeping that in mind. One of the things that is crucial here is that however strong this is, you get a lot of information here, right? Targeting who exactly you're talking to. So if you're not sure, you get a lot of details here. If you are sure, you get something to balance that conversation and see if you are going in the right direction or possibly add more. And this part of the tour is crucial to take advantage of. Last time we saw how it applies to the building conversation, the marketing aspect of it. And today, what we're going to be mostly covering is what happens here, right? In this exercise of achieving rhythm and taking advantage of this exercise, going for these 5 looks, going for these 5 tries, going for these 5 booking, right? You want to be able to create a practical rhythm for yourself, right? It starts if you're using NowSite or even if you're using a tool outside of NowSite, any other AI, since you're going to be involved in a copyright exercise, you want to have a strong um, anchoring idea for the AI. As we know and discussed in this room often, the AI is a tool that you're using. If you don't steer it in the right direction, it will lead you in the wrong direction. Or you might not even be able to clearly understand what it gives you back. And that alone is room for error in the process or waste of time. And in this space, as we have been always covering many AIs, we understand what or have felt the impact of these things, waste of time, AI going in the wrong direction and whatnot. So the idea, at least for me, whenever we're starting or when we're looking to create a momentum, is consistency. And to be consistent, you want to have a process that is efficient. And this is why through these conversation, we anchor these value down to simple things that you can apply. But again, you have to apply them. Because once we have created our UVP the right way, with these values in mind, with the right answers, right? This should allow us at least to start building our brand attributes, booklets, putting it together. Or we should be already confident in the next step that we're going to be taking using the tool. And that brings us back to this. For those having issues right now with how to write proper engaging messages, we have discussed this. And this is important. This allows you to apply the structure properly. Right? with this, you can create speed in your momentum. With this, it becomes easy to just repeat the right process to gain that speed. And if you're looking for 5 connections, 5 interest capture, 5 intention exchange, and offering a strong call to action each time, where you have these structures to help them choose or to mirror the conversation, right? So refer back to these documents. This is knowledge, again, that you can apply mechanically, because as you can see, these structures for me have been created once, and I keep referring to those. And these combos are structured or picked for a specific part of the journey, the specific part of the conversation. So for every part of your prospect journey, whether you're in the conversion process, the connection process, the retention process, you have these combo stacks, you have this knowledge that you can prepare so that you can go into that repeat mode without even thinking, with confidence that you have lined up the proper dots and you're just connecting them going into the cycle, right? Out of these combo stacking and with the um, my business profile, these are examples that were generated, right? And these were created at any level at this point. Since we're now fully ready to take advantage of these tools, anytime we click here, if it's to generate a post, well, that combo stack applies. But even more so when we're ready for the next step, the conversation part, right? This is important. So far, and I have to ask this because every time I see I ask somebody to give me a business profile, I get something that is so far away from what it should be looking at, especially if you've been in this space with us since, going over the brand attributes, these steps, evaluating your UVP to get that rating and steer your presentation for your brand, but also discern exactly who is the audience. And that should always be summarized in that strong UVP, right? So now that we're covering this at this point, I wanted to open the floor and have some conversation around that. Um, some some of these we had a chance to take a look at a few business cards as well that came through, and some of the conversation could have been calibrated or made even stronger with this approach, right? So to the question of understanding how we give proper value and how we use that conversation or position that conversation into our approach, it starts with that business profile or good understanding of our own business description. So I want to know, those who've been using this tool so far, how have you been approaching it? And from that point on, what has been stopping you in terms of repeating a cycle or achieving the next step of the exercise once this is anchored? Anybody? Questions? Share, comment, feedbacks? None. So if I volunteer somebody to show me their digital card or their UVP in the conversation and I rate it, I'll get something that has a clear audience defined.
I have some feedback.
Go ahead.
I hearken back to the comment you made, or to me, about sitting on a huge pile of Legos with, all the pieces around me.
Mhm.
But I must say that I am thankful for these trainings because it helps me to figure out, okay, I just need blue Legos right now. Or, I don't need all the specialty shaped Legos, the spaceship or you know, I just need the bricks. So um, I just want to thank you for providing clarity as I build and build and build. And I can definitely see progress. Um, I shared my digital business card a couple weeks ago and I
Mhm.
asked, have I gone too far? And Robert was like, yeah, you've gone over you got to come back from the brink. You put too much in there. It's too confusing. It's so, and I knew it. I knew it, but immediately I pulled it back. Um, so I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. This is, it's often enough what the same Achilles heel, I would say, uh, is that we, when we start, we are asked to project ourselves in the future, to set a goal to achieve. And that goal to make us, to drive us, has to be elevated because we want to elevate, right? However, when we start working, we have to be grounded, meaning that to be agile, we have to understand where we want to go, where the next step has to be taken in this process of elevation or elevating our business from the ground up, right? And often enough, and that is the I think also the root error in the statement. Often enough, we are trying to build from the roof down, and this is why we come in with this conversation. I can sell, or I want to sell to everybody, or my product is good for everybody. Just get me out there so I can bullhorn talk to the world, and it will happen, right? And for everybody that has been doing this often enough, the comeback is okay, well, I'm active, but I'm not getting the connection. I'm not getting the conversation. I had a meeting today, and it was a French client, and he was very apt with the tool, meaning that he knew his way around now site. There was no training or guiding required around there, but he was talking about a frustration. He was actively posting out, but not getting any engagement. And I asked him, as I should do, can you tell me exactly who you are speaking to when you're posting? Right? Who are you addressing this conversation to when you are posting? And the response was to everybody. I said, well, what exactly are you offering? Right? Because if you're talking to everybody, that's a hell of a product. So what are you offering? Well, I am more into helping people. Okay, still helping people that have a need and have an interest in energy healing. I said,
I was going to say
okay.
air.
So, need for air. And we all have the need for air, right? And that was it. That was the root of the problem, right? You want to speak to everybody, but not everybody has an interest in energy process or energy healing or holistic healing, right? Who exactly is that person now? And that was my next question. Okay, we're going to dig a little bit more now that you told me a little bit of what, and I can understand. I need to come back to the who of the people because only then can you start hooking their interest, getting them to look. No matter how much you are posting, if you're not targeting the right people, if you're talking to everybody, everybody may pay attention, but since nobody is specifically concerned, nobody will step up, right? Nobody will react. On a practical sense, I used to say in my meetings to clients, I mean, if you want to know how many people in a mall are interested in marketing, go to a viewpoint there and scream, I have something for all you marketers. Well, everybody that has an interest in marketing will freeze and take a look at you. Most people will continue ignore their walk, not even hearing what you said. It will fall off their radar, right? Saying I have a service for everybody is a different conversation than saying I have a service for a household that needs solution to leverage their expenses. That becomes a total different post because all these households, no matter which one they are, complete or a single household, will pay attention because the bachelors are not interested in saving in the same way that the family will be looking at that post. The value will be received the same way. Go ahead, Rita.
Hey everybody, with the descriptions that you have been given, that you just said, when I would go to different networking events like a convention where you have human resource people, and you've got at least 10,000 people that are there. And in order to get them to come to your booth, you either have to step out of your booth and go get them and engage them in a conversation, or they'll look at your booth and determine whether or not they want the product. And I'm comparing that to with what you're doing. You're looking for, and what we're supposed to be doing, we're looking for people who are looking for what it is that we have to offer, rather than being that shouting voice with the megaphone going, hey, come and look and see what we do, and we're fishing. And I think coach tells us sometimes, you want the fish in the barrel. They can't go anywhere. They're captive. Just got to go get them.
I love that example. And I want to use that actually to leverage everything that we've been discussing. You're at a fair, right? You have your booth. That is your attraction marketing, right? Because that booth has its banners, has everything there, and it's speaking to a specific crowd in that fish in a barrel that is this forum, right? Because at a convention, everybody comes in with their offers. And technically, if the convention is not under an overarching banner, which is wellness, everything goes. Most of the time, even under the banner of wellness, they will be put into different categories, right? Go ahead, Robert, before I continue.
But I wanted to just kind of touch base on what you were talking about, what it reminds me of. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Back in the day when I was doing health and wellness, there were a bunch of different products that I could have promoted, but they weren't for everybody, like you were saying. But there was one product that was like a water enhancement product that we could just drop into our water. Now, okay, that opened up the door or my circle of influence on people that I could talk to because more people drink water. Similar to you saying, oh, well, you're talking to everyone. Well, the only thing you can sell everybody on is air or, something to that effect. When I go and think about the aspect of like a booth, because I've ran plenty of those too, you can't just sit there when the person goes and walks by and looks at your booth. You have to have that Tom and Jerry effect so that something's going on inside the booth so that people are like, what the hell's going on here? What are these people doing? Right? Grabbing their attention and drawing them in. But back to my thought is like as another example. For me, I've had plenty of people, and if you're in this type of space, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing it or anything like that. But like savings clubs, as an example, there's a big to-do about savings club. Everybody jump on, and had several people approach me to it, and I'm like, I don't care about savings. I don't travel. I don't do anything. I stay in my tiny little town. I go to the grocery store. I go into town to go to the chiropractor. That's it. So I don't care about saving money, all that other nonsense that all these other people do, right? just getting back to the point of understanding who your actual avatar is, who the customer is that you're looking for, and finding those people to talk to. If you're talking to everyone, then expect that you're going to get a lot of people that are going to tell you no, and hopefully it doesn't crush or hurt your feelings. You
Then
know,
you're playing their numbers game at a scale that is crazy,
right? But
right?
those numbers at that status, though, it's like it's difficult to even track the data to find any kind of success if you're talking to everyone. If you
Exactly.
narrow it down to the right people and you're talking to just the right people, now we're getting some real data that you can look at and make some adjustments from, and then do better and better as you go on. So just my few little thoughts
No,
there.
that's good.
Feedback.
It's weight to our conversation because, as you said, when you're in a booth, your whole setup is made for that first point. Look, right? And as soon as you get that hook in, then it goes into the direct marketing phase because you put that forward as well, Rita. You're in your booth and you're one booth among many. Hopefully, there's traffic. Hopefully, the traffic is looking and you don't have to step out of your 100 meter or your 2 meter assigned to you because you know how it is. You can't go into the other guy booth and get some clients. There's that safe room, your zone, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully,
and
the
let's
client gets in there.
let's
Or
also talk about the retail side of that, right? So different between, let's say, a booth and a retail side. You don't want to be that person that's working the retail side of things to where when people come in, they're all up in your face. Can I help you find something? Right?
exactly.
It's a slightly different than being inside of the booth and having something to attract them into. So they're like, what's going on here? You want them to be the one that's like, what's going on here? You
Mhm.
know?
But but there's also that second phase as well. Because often enough, those who've been in convention, sometimes there's a lot of people and you can barely get the right connection. So you might have to step out of your zone. Or there's nobody. So you have to reach out of your zone. And this is when you go into that direct marketing phase, right? The idea here that I wanted to put forward is that even when you're in that environment, you're pushing on these two pedals, attraction and direction, direct marketing. And in both cases, it only works if you have a strong UVP. Because when you venture out of your booth for direct marketing, you're now sizing who it is that is the most close to my target audience, right? Otherwise, you're going to again go stack up these no's. I'm going to give a flyer to everybody that I cry that I cross path with, trying to get them back to the booth. No matter what, they're in a wellness convention. They must like wellness. I'll try to sell them something. No, right? There's a size up. I was in these convention at one point because I was into fantasy jewelry using semi precious gems, right? So when I was in this convention and I had to go sell, well, I wasn't looking at everybody. I was looking at those who were already adorned with these type of jewels, right? Because then I know that you already are consuming the product, right? And the conversation at that point becomes a lot easier. I like your earring. What kind of stone is it? Is it your birthstone? Oh, I happen to offer stones as well. Come see what I created. Come try to see that try. And then we go into the booking. So there's a dynamic here, but it is all rooted in the same thing. What, who, how? Your
Hey,
strong
Virgil,
and anchored knowledge of it. Go ahead, Rita.
what
Sorry,
kind of
go ahead.
stones do you like, Virgil? Do you like the little stones or the big stones?
Ah, I liked the moonstones. Out of all the stones, sorry, Rita, I was going to go into these conversation around stones there, but go ahead, Rita.
No, it's in line with that. I had I was traveling in Mexico and had a sterling silver bracelet that had some black onyx in it. And it was shaped in a point, well, anyway, wrapped around your wrist, shaped in a point at the wrist. And as as I was passing by, some of the vendors were like, "Oh, I have a ring that will match your bracelet." And so they're checking people out very much like you were doing instead of asking, "Oh, I see you're wearing da 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 da." That's exactly what they were doing, which is an interesting observation.
Oh yeah. I mean, I held a store for 2 years. It was my own store. This is what got me into the fashion interest and boutique thing. We're not store handlers or agent. We're scanners. We scan you from the head up every time you walk by because we want to see, do we have an item that matches what you are wearing, right? And if anything, a compliment around something that you just bought or something that looks good on you or something that fits you well is our hook, right? So we're scanning every time you walk, even when we pretend not to look at you, we're scanning you, not to be in your face, for example. It can happen from the distance. Welcome to the store. Take a look around when you're ready. If you need something, whatever. And we turn away, but every glance, we're scanning you. Where is your interest going? When am I pouncing on you? Right? And through these connection moments, you create return customers. One of the things that was the most fun during that time was my return customers, because in the end, I could clock them. I knew that every certain cycle, this person would come in for a full dress up, pants and shoes, or pants and that. And my goal was to leave him, to get him, leave the store with a bag, right? Full of things. And it was also a genuine conversation and a genuine exchange because I would go out there purchasing my stock with this client in mind. And that's customer service, right? Go ahead.
Man, you guys I'm loving today's show. You're bringing up so many memories. To me, when I'm hearing you speak, reminds me of a time that I was a greeter at a car wash.
Mhm.
And I held about a $75 ticket average. If you in sales, you know what I'm talking about. The car washes were only 15 bucks. But when they came in, it was my job to look at it, look at the paint. Do they need a wax? Look at the inside. Do they need the interior super shine? Do they need the little fancy stuff on the tires? Do they need the scent in the window? Do they, all those things are add-ons. Same thing when I ran a Mobile Lube Express. Average oil change was 20 bucks. I would hold a 65 to $85 ticket because it was the air filter or the PCV valve or you needed a transmission flush. So same kind of thing, just to put it in perspective for everybody that's here.
Oh, it's at every, and this is something most tradesmen, people that have never ventured, what we call the mom and pop shops, the one that didn't venture in the marketing era. These people are aces at reading their customers, right? Because this is how they create these bonds. This is how they get that word to mouth, right? And these practices are not lost. They're transcribed in what we're doing here. We just come in here and lose sight of things. Some of my clients, or some of the interviews that I had with clients were, oh, you know what? I come from that day where everything was done with paper, and I don't think I'll be good enough for this uh, digital thing. And I used to tell them, no, you're actually the best in line because you have all the knowledge of the old practice, and this applies systematically in this virtual world, right? I was in the age where Facebook came about, and I was doing flyers. I worked if I tell you my life, mechanics. I did that for a year or two, and it was a popularity contest based on how well you treat the clients. You build a bond. They walk in, they want to talk to you, no matter what problem they have, right? And when you bring the customer to the checking point with a list of things to do that they have agreed to, you're bringing in tickets there, right? And I was an apprentice, outshining some top dog mechanics. I wasn't doing the service. I was just asking them, building a relationship and getting them to loosen up. Because one of the things about mechanics is that you have the tendency that you're gonna get half. You don't know what's happening under the hood, and if you don't trust your mechanic, they're gonna take you for a spin each time. Oh, fix left, you come back for right, then it's going to be, and we all have that fear. Those who have cars have that fear. And that was what brought me to that apprentice thing. I'm going to try for a summer or two. Ended up doing 2 years in there, had a lot blast, learned a lot of things. Old cars, though. I don't think I can work on the new electronics ones. But that was the issue, the trust. Once the clients open up, they come to you and, well, I think I have a problem here. Yeah, you might have to look at this here too. You're gonna have to come back anyway. You can start the job here, and then you bring it to the boss, and you work it out, and he's gonna want to review, but the sale has already been completed, right? Through conversation, not performing the job, knowing the client and knowing the service generally or how to orient them. Go ahead, Robert.
You said something that was key there that I want to pick up off on, right? Is that people will come back to you and they'll ask you for those services because they know you're the person to go to. So have you identified yourself as that person to go to?
Trust, confidence, value. I trust this person to be forthcoming with me on what I need. Not overvalue, not undervalue. Give it to me like it is. Because by this point, we've built this trust factor, right? And this is key, for example, in spaces where we do coaching or where we do any type of counseling, right? If you don't have the trust of your client, you will not achieve anything because you'll only get half truth or half interest in, or you're just missing the mark. You don't get to understand clearly the need of the client, and you're always going on intuition, right? Some professionals have it made because we always seek them out of their expertise, and it's a closed circle. Hence the importance of putting forward your own expertise forward when you are using your marketing asset, your business card. Go ahead, Robert.
You just made me think of something else. Kind of funny. Anybody watch? I know, trust me before I say this. I don't normally watch this, but did anybody watch the MTV Music Awards this year, the other day?
No, I stopped.
Nope.
No. Well, the point that I'm bringing up is kind of funny because a few of the celebrities that won those awards, and when they go up, and they normally give their thanks and congratulations and all that, at least two of them had to thank their therapist. And I want to thank my therapist. I just died rolling when I heard that. So, yeah, just pointing that out, dropping it in there.
We see them in a perfect state, but even perfection at their stage remains a becoming. Uh,
But yeah,
we
as coaches do become like therapists.
we Well, it's foundational to the root of it, right? Because and this is also foundational to our offer as affiliate marketers, right? Whenever you are a doctor, you're giving out right? This is what you're supposed to be doing. And whether you do it or not, it's your problem. If you want to get healed, take your pills. That's it, right? If you come back to me and you haven't followed your prescription, I'll tell you, you haven't followed your prescription, your woes are your own. However, the coach is in the trenches with you. He's leading by example, right? He's the projection of what you want to achieve. Even if it's in a specific space in your life, this is the example that you're looking for. Hence the glow that we get from these Hollywood stars that often enough can be deceiving, right? Because we look up to them as the embodiment of things that we want to achieve or that we cannot achieve. This is at the center, for example, of the conversation that I have here with these young artists that I'm starting to onboard. I'm asking them, who, again, is your audience? And what exactly are you offering them? Because the conversation around I'm doing music, okay, that's good, but your product. Who is your product speaking to and what is it speaking of? Because this is what will allow you to get known, to get heard, to resonate. And it's even more so important for artists because their value is etherical. It's in the heart, right? You only know if you move somebody, if you really touch them, right? With us, it's a little bit easier. It's in the art, the action. If I touch you, you're gonna come back and say, "Oh, can I try this?" Or you said something there, I'm gonna like, and then you're gonna engage the right way, right? I see that you, okay, you. If I post things around family, and you liked it, I'm sure of one thing: you have family interest, whether directly or indirectly, you are concerned with a family point, right? That is the audience that I'm seeking. If I'm posting something speaking to entrepreneurs in a specific fields, they will raise their hand. They will like, it will speak to them, right? To come back to that assessment that I had, and I asked them, I said, well, you're posting a lot, you're not getting, you know, clearly you know the tool and you're using it. Combos to you. I love it. Now you're saying that this is happening. Okay, great. But we have now two things. You're not talking to the right people, right? So that's an issue. Other point that was raised is that, well, okay, sometimes, you know what, on a personal note, I post things that reflect my state of mind and I get a lot of reactions. And I'm like, great. Now, do you understand who you're speaking to? You're speaking to people in your likeness, sharing with them your reality. So if you're speaking with maxims, these maxims adhere to a specific need, entrepreneurial or otherwise. And the people that now you have identified through your interest, your shared interest, mirrored interest, are reacting to your post. Yatsa. Now, what did you do next? I posted again. I mean, so these people showed you interest, they liked, but you didn't like back, you didn't comment, you didn't engage, you didn't do the direct part of the attraction marketing results. Pedals, you're playing with those. You have to understand the dynamics of what you're doing to get to reap from it. Because on one hand, he was disappointed. He wasn't getting reaction uh, on business conversation that were not aimed properly. And on the other, he was disappointed because he was getting reaction, but that in the right way, but from the right people. After that conversation, he was like, okay, back to my exercise. Still keeping the same momentum, but with a light on. That UVP, you want to talk to the right way, you want to make the right connection and address them the right way, then know who you're talking to, what you're talking about. And the rest will happen organically or target, right? Not mechanically, but you would have willed it into place by giving them the right command, the right next step. Take advantage of my time. Let's share in this moment of interest. Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No, you talk about pedals. It reminds me of a manual transmission and the friction point in which you have to change and hit that clutch. And that's probably part of the problem is that they got rid of manual transmissions and people just drive automatic.
You see,
They
when
don't
you
know how
said
to
that,
use them pedals.
no. And talking about that, I drive both, but if you're asking me what I'd like to drive, I'll tell you manual. Why?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you really get to be one with speed. You have to play around with this,
Yeah.
right? The engine is part of
You,
you.
you have more control,
You
period.
have a lot of control. You have a lot more connection with the road, right? And this is also what we're trying to achieve here. Our car is AI. our car is our body, like uh, in Dr. Lisa's
I was just
video,
thinking that.
right?
Right.
Our mind is that engine, but we still are driving with intent, right? We have to understand that. And
Get
this
that
is
pet
where
down
these
the road.
yeah, and this is where these fundamentals come back into space, into play. Hint, hint, go back to your brand attribute booklets if you're not sure of what you're doing. If you are sure, put yourself to the test. What am I offering? Who am I specifically talking to? And if I want to talk to the whole world, well, I'll have a lot of segments to create. But I'll start with the first one, the one that will get me the most result, the one that mirrors who I am. Because that connection at least is hard to, it's easier to make and maintain. Guess what? This is what got us together. We all love marketing. We all want to become better. We all want to share in that conversation. So we gather constantly. Regardless of what is said, there's value in it, even if it's just a sentence among a whole storm of information that we can get. And if anything, the energy of being part of a community. All right. So keep that in mind.
That's
Don't
right.
overthink your process. If you're feeling that you're not going forward with what you're doing, then go back to the basics. Look at the foundations. Look at that audience, right? And when you think you know what you are offering, then ask somebody, or you will know that you won't be afraid ever again of that word or that phrase. What are you selling? Right? Because that's
Who, me?
essentially what I.
Oh, I'm not selling anything unless you're buying.
Oh, nice, nice, nice one.
Are you
Nice
buying?
one. Well, what it is you're offering then if you're not selling
Oh, I
something.
got a bunch of
Want to
them.
play these words game. So it is what it is, right? And this is the most straightforward question that you will get from somebody that is either interested or annoyed by what you've been doing. What exactly are you selling? And that's a great comeback. I'm not selling, but I'm offering a solution that you really should be looking at. It does this and it's for you. Try it. Take a look at it. I'm already involved in that five look, look, try. Because you answered. That's one of the game. You answered. Often enough, we miss that part. You posted, people responded to the call. Great. What you do, you just waited to see what would happen next. Get active, understand when you are supposed to be doing attraction marketing, when you're supposed to be doing direct marketing, and above all, in your message, in the positioning of it, always keep in mind these values. Frame it around however complicated you think your offer is, or however multifaceted it is. When we ask you these questions, what it is you're offering, that what, who, how should roll off your tongue. It's a song that you should be accustomed to singing, because at that point there is no fear. What you said is what I'm offering, right? And you also will gain power, because if you're asking me that question and you're not a targeted audience, I'll say nothing that would interest you. Let's move on, right? You can get your own nose, or your scanner gets perfected. Yeah, okay. This is what's gonna happen next. Pop, 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 pop. The journey. Okay. So tomorrow, important, UVP have to be in place. It's a quick fix. We grab this, plug it into an AI, evaluate my UVP, give me my rating. It's going to give you all these 5 attributes, and you want to pay special attention to the audience, because this allows us to know pain points. Okay? Have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll keep on building.
Thanks, Virgil. Thanks, Blakester.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
Rita.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
day, everyone.
You too.
Thank you.